We're here today with the Evansville Wartime Museum, and we're here with John Green. And John is 100 years old, and we are today at First Baptist Church in downtown Evansville. And First Baptist Church during World War II was served by Reverend Frederick Rake. And John was a member of the church here, so we're going to ask John some questions today about First Baptist Church and about Reverend Rake.
Okay.
Now, John, can you tell us your earliest memories of being here at First Baptist Church?
Well, I was a baby when it first came. I've been here 100 years.
Yeah, cool.
I left a little while, but it's not been 100 years.
So, do you remember coming to Sunday school and church here as a young
every
child?
Sunday. I had routine, and my mom would talk to different people, and she'd take guys to church with us. One of them's on the board out there, got killed. And then my sister's, she was engaged to Gerald Grindle, and he got killed over in Italy. And what else you want to know?
Do you remember Reverend Rake, like his personality, his preaching style?
Oh, he was very likable and very outgoing, very smart. And he had the red tie thing like they were talking about.
Yeah, tell us about that. What was the red tie?
If anybody that wore a red tie, he would come up to him and say, "It's $1 fine." And they'd give him $1 because they wore it. And some guys would do it on purpose so they could give it to him. He was a very good preacher and a very good man.
Now, he led this congregation through some pretty tough times in this city.
Yeah, he was the one that got this church built. And they moved, my mom was with them when they moved up here from down a block away.
And what year was that?
I think it was 1921, before my time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had to be a pretty influential leader in this city and with this congregation.
Yeah, he would go down to Central High School and talk to all them boys down and get them to come to church.
Gotcha.
Which they did, and they'd bring their girlfriends and get married and all that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, because during his time here, you had the Great Depression, the '37 flood, and World War II, and
Yeah, I remember when they had outhouses for the church.
okay.
You all remember that? No. Out there on the curb, had two outhouses, one for men, one for women. But that was during the flood. The basement was flooded.
Okay.
I got pictures of them at home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he showed me a picture of that today before we came out.
That would be neat to see, yeah.
So when World War II started and you were going to church here, do you remember, I'm asking you to remember something pretty specific, but do you remember Reverend Rake's messages during that time? Were they inspirational as far as the
very
war
much
effort?
so. It had to be to get that many people. This place be full. And the women would have Sunday school here, and the men, of course, at the go-go. And then they'd get together for church service.
Nice.
When did they move from this location to that location? Remember, the Agoga moved. It was across the street.
Yeah, they tore it down. Yeah.
And then they moved.
I wasn't going here at that time.
Okay.
I took a time out. The girls wasn't getting along here, so we went to Forest Hills.
Okay.
And we were there about 12 years, I guess.
Okay.
And then the girls got married, and then Ari and I came back up here.
Okay.
But while I was there, I was a treasurer for 10 years, and I was also a deacon and a trustee.
Okay.
And then I did a lot of the maintenance work, built some cabinets and closets and helped the boiler and all that stuff. Put in a water heater and put in a water fountain on my own, because I wasn't working. I retired when I was 55 years old
Okay.
and hadn't worked, hadn't had a job since then. But I did have a bunch of apartments, and I took care of them.
Okay,
That was my income.
okay.
Sorry.
So you told me when, once before, when you went into the Army in 1944, and I asked you out at the museum one day if you ever wrote any letters to Reverend Rake, and you told me what your mother told you. Do you remember
My
that?
mother said, be sure and write to the preacher. And my brother did too.
Yeah,
And he's got all them letters at the museum.
yeah, yeah. So we looked them up, and we saw your letters and your brother's letters in there.
And anytime you want, you can go out there and he'll pull it up, or you can read the letters.
Okay.
He can pull up any letter that you want.
Yeah, they're all digitized. Well, you know, I was reading about Reverend Rake, what I could find, and one of the things I read was that he set aside time every day for correspondence, to write letters, because when you look at the list,
Well, he wrote a lot of them.
yeah, of young men he was corresponding with during World War II, I mean, it was over 100 names.
Yeah.
So, you know, he had to have, it had to take him a lot of time to sit down and write those letters.
That's right. Didn't take long on mine. I didn't write long ones.
Do you remember what, you know, we have the letters you wrote back. Do you remember what he said in his letters to you?
Not offhand.
Okay.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
1945.
Yeah, 80 years ago. Yeah, 80. Now, did you know Reverend Rake's son?
I didn't know him personally, but I knew him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he was in the military during World War II.
Right.
And from what I read, you know, and I think that had to impact probably his message, you know, the fact that he wanted to communicate with these young men from
Yeah.
his congregation.
Yeah, he was older than I was.
Okay, because he had a son in the war, and his son actually worked with a P-47 Thunderbolt unit, which were built here in Evansville during World War II.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to read that. And then when you came back from the war,
Which one?
World War II. Okay. Yeah, I haven't gotten to the Korean War yet. And you met Irene, and then I assume you started back to church here when you came back from.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And then when you and Irene got ready to get married, tell us about that.
Well, we got married here in this church, and she insisted on having her uncle, who was a preacher, participate in the service.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Reverend Rake and her uncle, and we got married on Friday night, July 14th, 1949,
Right here in this building.
right up there.
Very cool. Do you remember when you got home from World War II, and Reverend Rake, you know, had been inspirational in a lot of things in this city during the war? I think from what I read, he went and talked to a lot of community organizations and places that,
Oh, yeah.
about supporting the war effort and the soldiers and so on. And when you got home, do you remember being welcomed back here from the military and
Well, just normal,
just normal?
nothing exciting.
Yeah.
I was later because so many of those guys got out earlier.
Yeah.
I went in late.
In a bit, we'll go outside and we'll check out the plaque on the front of the building with all of the
Okay.
World War II soldiers. So then you got called back in the military.
Yeah, I was in the reserve. After you get out, you're in the reserve. So we got married in '49, and then we went on a trip out west with my mom and dad. We was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and got news that the Korean War started. So there was no problem there. So then in October 20th, I think it was, I got a letter from Uncle Sam. It said, you report for duty at Camp Atterbury, which is up here by Indianapolis. So we got on a bus down there by the courthouse. They took us up there. Went to Atterbury, and then from there went to Camp Roberts in Arkansas, right out of Little Rock. Had 17 weeks of basic infantry. Then out of that, you want this whole history?
Whatever you want to tell us.
Got out of that and went up to, on the way home we got another delay, and then after that went to Fort Meade, Maryland, and I can't think of another one up there where they tell you where you're going, and then went from there to the ship, got on the SS Brazil, and it was a lease ship from Brazil. It took us 17 days to go from New York to Le Havre, France, because we were in a convoy. Everywhere you looked, you see ships, and you could only go as fast as the slowest ones. So it took us 17 days. And when I landed in Le Havre, the war ended on that day. But we went on anyhow up to Czechoslovakia, Pilsen. And we was there maybe a month or two. Got orders for the 2nd Division to come back to the States and take training to go to the Pacific to fight. So we got on a boat down to Le Havre again and come back in 7 days and landed in Boston, went to Camp Mouse Standish, and were distributed from there, went from there to Camp Atterbury, and then they gave us more instructions and gave us a delay en route, so I forget how many days, and we're heading for Camp Swift, Texas, which is right outside of Austin, down by Bastrop, where they're going to build that big factory. Months, going to build a factory there. Anyhow, they didn't want the reserves in there, or guarantees. So they took all of us and sent us to Camp Chaffee, Arkansas, which is right outside of Fort Smith. And they made me an ambulance driver. So I did that all the time I was there for about a year and a half. Then I got, from there, we were discharging people all the time.
Yeah.
But when I got time for me, they sent me up to Fort Sheridan in Illinois, about 50 miles north of Chicago. Got discharged and then come on back home. And they give everybody a ruptured duck.
Yeah.
I gave you one.
Yep.
It's a little thing you put on your shirt. They sew it on for you, show that you're discharged. Otherwise, the MPs could pick you up there. So then I came on back there, and while I was home, I got mixed up there. We was on our way to Camp Swift. I was home. The World War in Japan quit, so I didn't have to go over there after all. And then I went to Camp Chaffee. Sorry.
So then when you got called back to go to Korea, what year was that? 53? Or 50, I mean?
50. October 20th, 1950.
Okay. And then, do you remember when you were in Korea, did you correspond with Reverend Rake then as well?
He wasn't there anymore.
Okay. He'd already left
Yeah.
here at that point. Got
I
it.
think McKinney or somebody.
Yeah.
They had several of them.
Yeah.
McKinney was in it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
When I got into Japan at Sasebo, we went from Tokyo to Sasebo on a train, and when we got there, they sent us up to a big building, and not tall but long, and they would assign us what we were going to do when we got to Korea. They made me a tank driver, so that was my MOS number, which is what everybody gets one of them. That's the kind of job you do. Anyhow, got to the unit where we were going to be assigned, and went in to see the captain who was interviewing, And I said, they got my MOS as a tank driver, and I've never been in one. He said, well, don't worry about it, all of ours got knocked out. They had tanks with bulldozer blades on them for engineers. This is second combat engineers, is what I was in. So he asked me some questions like, what religion? I told him I was Baptist. And he said, can you type? I said, yeah, I type. What else? Well, there's about 4 things he asked me, and I told him yes. He said, you're the man we're looking for. So he made me chaplain's assistant. So I got to be chaplain's assistant for the rest of the time there. Chaplain Buckland was his name. And he got called home about August, I guess. He had family trouble. And then we got another chaplain. And I had been sleeping in the same tent with Buckland because he didn't want other people sleeping in there. He had 2 cots. And yeah, I would be there anytime he wanted me. But this other new guy come in and said, no, you sleep in the squad tent with the other guys. So I did that a night or 2. And he come to me and said, you come back and sleep in my tent because the officers were coming. That was the place where they rotated and sent them to the different companies. So he didn't like that because they would come in and sleep in his tent. So he had me come in there and sleep in there with him. Then I'd be available whenever he wanted.
Yeah. So looking back at you being born and raised in this church and then going to this church for most of your life.
I don't come because I have other problems.
Yeah.
Could you describe or relay to us the impact that Reverend Rake and First Baptist Church has had in your life?
Oh, they have a very big impact. It made me what I think a good person. Always try to do everything right and honest. That way.
Do you guys have any questions for John?
Aretha, do you know anything?
I'll tell you one other thing
Okay.
I did one night. We had a little stove about to be around about that tall. It run on gasoline. And I told you this.
This is in Korea.
Yeah. And we was in this tent, and we had a line going out back, and every day I'd have to go to the motor pool and get 4 5-gallon cans of gas. I put them in the back, and then during the night, I had to get up and feed them. So one night I got up and went out there, and one of my cans was empty. So, I know what happened here. The people next door to the officer's tent, they had their houseboy was stealing my gas. So that next day, I filled one up with water and put it right where he could get it. And then I had my other 3. So the next morning, the chaplain come from breakfast. He said, there sure was a bunch of officers was mad and cold last night. That's a sad story.
So what year was it that Reverend Rake left? Do you remember?
Well, I was back,
You were back.
but I don't remember.
Remember the year?
I think McKinney was next,
Yes.
and they had several others after that.
Right.
Well, it almost had to be between 49, the year you got married, because he married.
Yeah, he was still in 49.
And the Korean War started in 50.
Yeah, October.
Yeah, so right in between there.
No, it started in July of 1949,
Okay.
because we was out in Arizona, out in Wyoming.
When you got
And we got the
called.
message that the war started.
The Korean War.
I think I told you that.
Yeah.
So when you got back from Korea, he was not here? When
When
you
he
got,
went to Korea.
when you came back from Korea, he was gone then, Reverend Rick, or was he still here?
I don't remember. My memory's not very good.
Oh, pretty good.
So Reverend Rake, you said that he wasn't here when you were overseas, writing letters.
For Korea,
Yeah.
I don't remember writing him from there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Anything else? All right, thank you, John.
Oh, you're welcome. And, yeah, right here, and the preachers were here.
Yeah.
He wasn't up here.
Oh, okay, all
Yeah.
right,
And
okay,
then they put us together.
okay. They put you, yeah, okay.
And then that evening, we took off and we was gonna go to Chicago.
Yeah,
We got as far as Terre Haute and said that's enough for that night. So we spent the night there and then went on to Chicago.
yeah,
Went to the Allerton Hotel. Spent the
okay.
night, or 2 nights. Then we came back home, we went back to work Monday morning.
It was a quick trip.
Yeah,
All right, John, you're standing in front of the plaque that has the World War II servicemen who were members of the congregation of First Baptist Church, and you're pointing to your name, and whose name's right under yours, or right above yours, I mean.
my name's John Green, this is my brother, Dwight Green, D.O., they call him.
And did you know most of these young men?
I knew most of them, yes.
Yeah. And then tell us about, in the middle, you knew a couple of the guys that were killed during service here, in the middle of the plaque right here, John.
Oh, those?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one that we used to pick up, lived down in Rhinelander district. We'd pick him up, bring him to church.
Do you remember where?
This is here is one my sister was engaged to. He got killed in Italy.
What's his name?
Gerald Grindle. Then later on she married Ronald Pride. Remember Ronald Pride?
Yep.
All right. Thank you.